One would have thought, for example, that in the context of the negotiations between Iran and the United States of America, the Iranian administration would have been persuaded to recognize the state of Israel and to drop this approach where they said that they must wipe Israel off the face of the earth and say that we are chosen of God. And America, which has underwritten the state of Israel, has reinforced this so that the Israelis actually believe that they are special. They believe that they can do no wrong. They believe that they are God-guided.
Back on the channel. I'm your host. If you are new in the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go.
Listen, and I'm a keen listener of both Western press and Western commentators, and on the other side, the Eastern, and there is one thing that must always be remembered, that the conceptual West always drives the narrative. The major news outlets that are listened to by most of the world, whether it is Bloomberg or CNN or Radio France or Radio Deutsche Welle or Sky or BBC, have only one narrative, and that narrative is that they are good and bad guys, and that we are the good guys. We are the ones who should define morality for the world. What we say is good, what we say is bad is bad. So when we say that the Russians are bad, then the world should simply say, yes, sir, yes, madam, they are bad, very bad. But they have short and selective memories, because they must remember, in the case of Russia, for example, that in 1990 they say not an inch more. But they have now conveniently forgotten that. They have forgotten it in their spaces of power, in their analysis, in their writings, and they now ask the question, well, where was it written? So they drive the narrative. And it can no longer be denied, for example, that Ukraine is fighting a proxy war. We now know, and there is evidence to demonstrate, and we have listened to the British Prime Minister saying what he says and saying the kind of support that they are going to give it. We have seen the other European powers. Of course, the Romanians have stood out in rejecting what was happening, and they have said, we are supporting this administration. And I have no doubt in my mind that they share intelligence with the Ukrainians. So all those factors must be seen in the historical context, that the world from a Western perspective was always bad guys and good guys, and they are the good guys. And of course, if you don't play ball, then you are the bad guys. Israel, on the other hand, must be seen in the context of the Balfour Agreements in 1900s. And you remember, somebody once said that all the problems of the world are actually traceable to the British. When in 1948, the Israeli state as we know it was created, it would have been easier at that time to actually create two states, a Jewish state and a Palestinian state. But the decision was made that they were to create this Jewish state, and we know what happened with the Nakba. And after that, we know the activities that took place leading up to the Oslo Accords, where it was agreed that there would be a two-state solution. The two-state solution is no longer on the table. And Israel has been marketed and depicted as the bastion of democracy in what is otherwise an ocean of feudal monarchies and dictatorships. And therefore Europe, or rather Israel, is seen as this beloved country. And the Israelis themselves have not hesitated to go back to history and to go back to the Torah and say that we are chosen of God. And because we are chosen of God, we are different. We are unique. And because we are unique, we must be treated differently. And America, which has underwritten the state of Israel from its creation in 1948, has reinforced this so that the Israelis actually believe that they are special. They believe that they can do no wrong. They believe that they are God-guided. So when you are dealing with the people who believe that they are undertaking a divine mission, then the first casualty is logic. And when logic has been sacrificed at the altar of mysticism, then your journey is very short and your reasoning is also not given any space at all. Your reasoning has the chance of a snowball in hell. And that is where we find ourselves. And lastly, you must also remember that we are dealing with a Western world whose power and influence is diminishing. Like it or not, it may take many years, but the global South is awake. And that global South is saying that the time is now for us to be heard and heard clearly. The demography of the world is changing. Europe is becoming older and older population, and they are scared. They are scared. That is from a Western perspective. If you ask many Africans, many in the African continent, they are casting their lot with Vladimir Putin. They are saying that Putin is simply using the same thing that the Israelis do, because the Israelis gave birth to this concept of preemptive defense. It is exactly the same thing that Putin said. I'm defending our country preemptively, because if I don't, we will be attacked sooner rather than later. So the Israelis attacked Iran on the basis of preemptive defense. So, and Nelson Mandela put it very well at one time when he was confronted with this question. He says, these fellows, when they don't want you under your freedom fighter, they call you a terrorist. And yet, the truth is, all freedom fighters are labeled terrorists, because the Western world long recognized if you want to kill a dog, you give it a bad name, then you proceed to kill it. So from where I sit, there is nothing that is happening that is bad from Russia. The only thing is we must agree. War is a bad thing. It is a bad thing because young men and women die. It is a bad thing because everybody suffers, both those who are wronged and those who have committed the wrong. So nobody really wants war. War is last resort. And if you ask any of these war generals, their preferred position is, let us never get to war. But don't listen too much. Let us not listen too much to Western analysts whose only agenda is defined by one thing. We are good, they are bad. And if we say they are bad, say yeah. And we say they are good, agree with us. That kind of approach has no place in the civilized world.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. See you on the next one. Let's go.